Welcome in to this Wednesday morning edition. Blue Sky Live here with you today. Chase Parham and Neal McCready. He's in the Clark Ford studio. I am at home, courtesy of Realtree, Realtree.com. Head over there for all your camo, outdoor, and lifestyle needs with Realtree. Realtree hoodie on today, so kind of all in brand mode a little bit. This morning, we will discuss just college basketball a little bit. I mentioned yesterday I want to talk about Mark Pope a little bit. We'll do that today. Ole Miss baseball moves to 9-0. They are 9-0 for the first time since 2022. That was quite the interesting season. So they are that again. They finally head on the road, going to Houston this weekend after a 13-3 win over Southeast Missouri in 7 innings last night. Ole Miss basketball tonight, 8 o'clock, LSU at the Pavilion for that one. Coverage of all that stuff. Rebels 24/7 in the meantime. And we're brought to you by Blue Sky, locations off the state of Mississippi every single day. Blue Sky in Oxford with the Oxford Exxon, in Macomb with the Epicenter, also in Byram with the gas fuel car wash combination there in Byram. Take advantage of that. It's fairly new. New stores, new restaurants popping up all over the state of Mississippi. So again, that's Blue Sky, and Neal is in the Clark Ford studio.
I am. Clark Ford is in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900. Call that number. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you are looking for. He will send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours, right to the bottom line. There's no hassle. There's no haggle. You get your quote, and then the rest is completely up to you. You can shop that quote around. You can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do. Let's hop into a Clark Ford today. 662-257-1900 is the number. Corey and the people at Clark Ford, they want to be your car guy. They want to be your truck guy. They'll prove to you what that means when you make the call. 662-257-1900. Guest join on the Campbell Clinic hotline from fractures and sports injuries to complex spine and limb conditions. The pediatric orthopedic physicians at Campbell Clinic in Oxford are the only specialized pediatric orthopedic team in North Mississippi, providing expert care for growing bodies. Visit CampbellClinicOxford.com to schedule an appointment or call 901-759-3111.
Neal, I dealt with the generational divide pretty aggressively this morning. So I was emailing with a potential intern for something I was curious about if there was interest in going back and forth, and I got a reply, and I've not needed ChatGPT to decipher in a while, but I got an abbreviation I was not 100% sure about, and then it ended with a meme. It was a photo of Naj Reid on the end of the email. And
Yep.
Number one, I had no idea who number 11 for the Minnesota Timberwolves was, so I had to look that up and saw
Very popular Timberwolf in Minnesota.
So got the Naj Reid like arms crossed picture, had no idea what that was, put it into ChatGPT, and apparently it meant like let's go, respect, like a positive connotation in internet world. So I was playing hieroglyphics a little bit this morning. Was unsure of what all that meant, but there we are. So it's a new world.
Yeah, it is.
Probably need to learn a little tone matching, but is what it is. Is we're in the morning.
I think I may have crossed the threshold into the part where I'll just fade off into oblivion. I don't know that I'm going to try to keep up with.
Well, you knew that a little more than I did. You might have had a little better idea as we were combing through it. So, credit to you. Why is Naj Reid so polarizing?
People either love him or hate him. Although I don't fall into that category. I don't like the Timberwolves, but I have tremendous respect for Naj Reid. He's just a guy that plays the game exactly the right way. Fans in Minnesota love him. He stayed. He's a role player who just plays really hard, kind of does everything well. Is
lunch pail kind of guy.
I mean, a little bit. He's a very, very good basketball player, but he does things the right way. Plays really hard. I think embraces the community. All of those things. He's probably if you're running a professional sports franchise, you'd love to have a handful of Naj Reids.
Okay. Yeah, had no idea. I was completely absent of that.
Yeah, he's just a guy that, if he were a baseball player, he's a guy who plays the game the right way.
Let's see. In our stream, Luce GG Rue says they had a towel giveaway a few years ago, and now the towels pop up everywhere. Twins games, Viking games, etc.
Oh, so yeah, that's the cool part about. I mean, the cool part about pro sports, maybe college sports to some degree. I think pro sports is these days a little more this way because guys are at a place longer. As someone becomes such a big part of the community that it transcends from one sport to multiple sports to just the whole place.
We had with the towel thing, we had that for several years with those several hundred koozies with MPW Digital on them. We gave out at that watch party in Nashville that night. It was the night before Ole Miss Vanderbilt. It was Ole Miss Butler, I think, in basketball. We did sort of a watch party at Neighbors in the Germantown area there in Nashville and gave out, I don't know, 300 or 400 koozies. And they were popping up for several years. They popped up all over the South. I'd get tweets and different things where people got handed them or found them in trash cans and whatnot over the course of 12 to 24 months.
Huh.
That was the Vanderbilt game when, is it overtime maybe, and A.J. Brown either caught or didn't catch a touchdown pass in the corner of the end zone? Do you remember this, kind of? Maybe. This would have been like 2019, 2018.
Very vaguely.
I think 2018. Maybe Vanderbilt won in overtime. I think that's right.
No. I kind of remember the night you're talking about.
I feel like we had a huge replay catch or no catch situation. And I think it was 18.
They said he was out of bounds, but they should have said he was in bounds.
I don't remember the play on whether it was right or wrong, but yes. And yes, that had to be what it was because Vanderbilt won 36-29 in overtime.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about some. There are some years in my life that it's not that they're blacked out; they're just kind of blurred, and I don't remember them.
We've had a lot of pivotal things happen site-wise, or at least expected to happen while we were in Nashville. So Nashville sort of blurs together in some ways over the years.
That's fair. That's more than fair.
Were they still bowl? Were they? Yeah, it said it was ruled not a catch. Somebody said they would have been bowl eligible because Ole Miss fell to 5-6, 1-6 at that moment.
Ooh.
But were they bowl eligible in 18?
No.
Yeah, so it wouldn't have mattered, right? Because that was 17 and 18, no bowl, right?
That's my recollection. Now, if you put a gun to my head right now and said be right, I would beg the person with the gun to my head, can I please complete my will and tell my
Yeah.
I don't know that I feel 100% about this.
Jordan Teamu in a loss where Ole Miss only scored 29 points, was 32 of 52 for 457 yards.
Oh, wow. 2
TDs, 2 picks. Ole Miss had a 100-yard rusher in that game as well. I'll give you $20 if you can name said rusher.
What year?
2018.
I mean,
Big Ben says the ban was 16 and 17. I did not. I guess Ole Miss did self-impose the ban in 16. That's right. I forgot that as he was talking. That's correct.
See,
because remember they were kind of like, you knew they weren't, like, it wasn't going to matter. It was sort of a lost season, and they went, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and call it this year too, and gave the NCAA that one, and then they added one on after that. That's what happened. Real Wicked says only 29 points. I mean, I guess that's a good point for that era. 29 was pretty good. It was Isaiah Woolard.
Oh yeah,
16 carries, 107 yards. Had a long 20. Yeah.
Oh, I never would have gotten that. Never in a million years.
Eric Swinney, 3 carries for 5 yards. I really liked that kid as a person a ton. I liked Eric Swinney. A.J. Brown went off. 9 catches, 212 yards, a touchdown. DeMarcus Lodge, 9 catches, 117 yards, a touchdown. Underrated wideout. Lodge was good.
Yeah. Yeah.
A young Elijah, 7 for 52. Dawson Knox, 1 for 36, but we're positive it wasn't a touchdown, by God. Didn't get in the end zone. Because Phil Longo was the OC during that season.
Your guy, Phil.
My guy, Phil. Hadn't heard from Phil in a while. Where's he at? Still Wisconsin? Or did he get fired from there?
No, he got fired from there. I think he's back in.
Oh, he's the head coach at Sam Houston State.
Yeah.
That's right. How'd they do last year? They were bad, right? Like really bad, but they upset somebody.
Yes. Man, you're throwing. I feel like the kid who didn't study for the exam.
Hey, we're gonna have a pop quiz today, guys. Here we are. All right, yeah.
I mean, I know this feeling. It was I had it a few times where probably should have studied and didn't. That's what I'm feeling right now. I'm like you're just throwing quiz questions at me that I have no clue.
Hey, they were. I got this right. Sam Houston State was 0-8, and had only played one game even competitive. They were 0-8 with one score game, and that was a loss to Jacksonville State in Houston. And they knocked off Oregon State in Corvallis 21-17.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. November 8th on a 9 o'clock start. Yes. They beat Delaware the next week. The Blue Hens. Okay, I'm done with my trivia questions now.
By November the 8th, my focus on college football was pretty singular.
It was not sitting back on Sam Houston and Oregon State on a Saturday night.
It was pretty Kiffin oriented, if I recall correctly, and I do recall correctly.
Well, because what week would that have been? Was that Citadel for Ole Miss?
I think so. Yeah.
Is that right?
I think so.
So the week that he interviewed at least with Florida and maybe LSU?
He interviewed with both.
That week?
Yes. I knew about Florida.
Yeah, I remember Florida was the Friday of the Citadel.
I did not know about LSU, if I'm honest. I'd heard rumblings, but I knew he had interviewed with Florida. I just didn't have it where I felt like I could write it.
Yes, November 8th,
frankly,
Citadel, 49-0.
Frankly, if I'm being completely transparent, because I feared the backlash of what from subscribers and fans if I wrote it.
That he had interviewed that week?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I think I felt good enough about actually publishing that information. He would have pushed back. He would have put it. He would have pushed back privately,
sure,
not publicly. But I didn't. At that point, there was still enough sentiment that he was going to stay, and there was absolutely, if everybody's being honest with themselves, among the fan base, an absolute rabid hope that he would stay, that publishing that would have been professionally risky. And then had they lost, say, to Florida, I think that would have been something fans would have been able to blame on someone. And I just call it calculated risk and decided not to do it, or call it cowardice, or whatever you want to call it. But I think looking back, you and I had a lot of conversations. I think we knew, I certainly knew he had interviewed with Florida and knew details of the interview.
Yeah, because I mean, I can't prove it, but I still think there was a term sheet signed at that point, or shortly.
I think
thereafter.
so. I think logically it just makes sense, right? I mean, the way that, I think it's like we had some fun with it. And in hindsight, sometimes I wish we'd gone back and not had fun with it. I wish we'd gone back and just been serious.
Yeah.
In fairness to the people that cover Florida, were there some clowns? Sure, but they're clowns on the Ole Miss beat too. Let's be clear. Yeah, there were some clowns, but there were also some people who really worked really hard on that story. Edgar Thompson comes to mind.
Yeah, I had Edgar in my mind as you were talking.
Who worked really hard on that story, who were under the under the very strong belief that Lane Kiffin had committed to be Florida's next coach. And in fairness to them, that level of conviction wasn't cheerleading. I don't think Edgar Thompson gave a damn who Florida hired as the head coach. That level of conviction came from sourcing. Mm-hmm. Sourcing likely told them, hey, he's coming. You can't report this, but he signed a term sheet.
Yeah, traditional sourcing fit to report that. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah,
you were just doing Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, and or some of the fan sites doing the fan thing. Sure. But there was more than that. There was some traditional, conventional journalists who have covered Florida for a long time, who are incredibly well sourced, who strongly believed that Lane Kiffin had signed a deal, are committed to be Florida's next coach. That wasn't in hindsight. We had a little too much fun with kind of lumping Florida media into one category,
or media and Twitter together, really.
Yeah, and that probably wasn't completely fair. And you know, we had a decision to make, because had we come out strongly November the 8th, which is the day we're talking about here, and said, look, he's leaving, we'd have gotten killed. It would have made my little night in January look like romper room. We'd have been destroyed.
Well, a lot of the reaction would have been simply what was happening anyway, which is this year that's supposed to be so freaking fun is not fun because of this. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You're dealing with this historic modern season that Lane is gets credit for in so many ways and torpedoed at the same time. So you're dealing with that from how you actually go through it, and you deal with it as time goes on.
You were having a year where you were on your way to an 11-1 regular season, and there was a tremendous level, if everybody's being honest, in the fan base, this angst/anger/anxiety.
Frustration.
There was a lot of frustration. A lot of negative emotions for a fan base in the midst of watching their team have a historic regular season.
Somebody asking when the 2016 season went to hell. If you don't do hindsight and try to go back in the moment, I mean, they blew those two games where they had huge leads against Florida State and Alabama. Ken Webster going down against Bama was a huge blow to that team. I'm sorry, Florida State was a huge blow to that team in the opener. But they beat Georgia. Georgia was ranked 12th at the time. They beat them 45-14. That was Kirby's first season. And then they beat Memphis after that. So you could sort of squint and you go, hey, they're 3-2. They lost to number 1 and number 4, blew the games. But the expectations were to win 9-10 games with that team. I mean, it was a team that was supposed to go to an Access Bowl at that point. And then I would say the combination of the two road losses after that, they lose to Arkansas and LSU, two teams that were lower ranked than Ole Miss at the time of both of those games. That was 4 losses. That put away any of that thought. You had everything sort of still escalating from all the NCAA investigation stuff as that went on, and then the torpedo game was getting beat by double digits to Auburn to lose 3 in a row. Chad gets hurt the next week, and you're off and running.
Isn't that funny? I don't remember hardly any of that.
Yeah. And then you had the 1 week reprieve when Shea Patterson sort of played Madden and beat Texas A&M in College Station 29-28. And you thought, okay, maybe he's the future. Maybe he's what you think he's going to be. And if the NCAA doesn't crater you, you're doing all these ifs in your head that 1 week. And then they just got absolutely embarrassed by Vanderbilt, 38-17 in Nashville. Shea was really bad that day. And then the game nobody talks about anymore, the 35-point loss to Mississippi State in Oxford that night.
I remember that one.
Yeah, 55-20.
Yeah, that was a long season. There was a lot there. That was a long season. That
But
was
the back-to-back road games did it.
That was a professionally trying season.
2016 had a lot going on.
There was a lot there.
They were.
That was not a fun season to cover at all. There was nothing about that season that was enjoyable.
Probably the second whatever fun compared to 2011. 2011 sucked.
2011 sucked. For me, 2010 was worse.
2010 was worse?
2010 was bad. Yes. Dealing with Houston that year was bad. Yeah. Because he still had just enough juice.
From the Cotton Bowls.
Yeah, and I'm trying to decide if I want to say he was nasty to me. It's probably too strong. He no longer even attempted to disguise the fact that he despised me.
And he had a year of feeling very threatened, just in general.
And yet I think he couldn't really get as mad as he wanted to get because I was being fair to him. We had that day after they got romped in Knoxville where I'd written what I wrote, and he kind of comes up to me and he pulls that stunt. And I was like, have you read it? Did you read it? And the answer was no. And I just pulled it up on my phone and handed it to him. Like, read it. And he reads it and he looks at me and goes, your sourcing is good? I said, I wouldn't write it otherwise. It was just kind of like, you know. It was just that was a wild. Our jobs are different than what I think a lot of people think our jobs are. When you're trying to do a professional job, I think it's probably different than what 99.99% of. And this is not a criticism of fans at all. It'd probably be like if you sat me down in a law office one day, I'd be like, oh wow, this is what this is like.
Yeah.
I think 99 point something percent of fans have no real understanding of how weird it gets sometimes. And this is being honest, especially back then, this is a particularly challenging beat.
It's least challenging than then. It was worse then. Yeah.
It was really challenging then. It's a little more.
It's different now.
It's a little more normalized now, probably, but back then it was. It had its unique set of challenges that were often felt like not little cones to jump over, but like mountains to get past.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing when somebody not in the media walks in the press box and goes, God, it's really quiet in here. I'm like, yeah, you'd be bored to death. You have no idea what this is actually like every single week. Take our first break, tell you about ND Spark, the fastest, most reliable fiber internet option available. Whether you're streaming the Rebels or connecting with family and friends, they offer both residential and business packages with speeds up to 2 gigabits. To learn more, register for service, nespark.com. NeSpark, get connected, stay local.
Ole Miss had a great portal season. You can too. Do you have an old IRA or 401k with a former employer? Is that money stuck with a bad team, not living up to its full potential? Put that account in the transfer portal. Let a fellow Rebel professionally manage it for you. Andrew Sego with Sego Wealth Management will build a playoff caliber portfolio just for you. Book a quick discovery call today at rebelsretire.com or 901-482-2676. Maybe you need tax savings strategies or retirement income planning. That's what they do every day. So give them a call at 901-482-2676 or book a discovery call online at rebelsretire.com. I have a mailbag up at Rebels 24/7. It's brought to you by Art Hayes of Sotheby's International Realty. Are you thinking of making a move? Put the power of Sotheby's to work for you. As a licensed agent with Sotheby's International Realty and a supporter of all things Ole Miss, Art can help you buy or sell in your hometown or anywhere in the world at no charge to you. Seriously. Call and ask Art how. 612-805-5929 or email Art at arthur.hayes@lakesmn.com. We'll have the hand raised guys to you tomorrow evening, late afternoon, evening-ish. It'll be brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. Different names, same great people, products, and services. If you live in Oxford, Batesville, Tupelo, or the surrounding areas, call Comer 662-801-1777. Or if you live in Memphis, Hernando, South Haven, those areas, call Southern 662-429-4429. And we're brought to you by ENT Physicians of North Mississippi as the largest private ENT practice in the state. Their goal is simple: delivering fast, expert, comprehensive care for patients of all ages with ENT, allergy, sinus, dizziness, balance, and voice-related needs, with same-day or next-day appointments with ENT urgent care for that annoying cough or sore throat, in-office CT scans and same-day allergy testing, and access to their comprehensive audiology team, offering a full range of services from hearing aids and custom hearing protections to potential surgical options. ENT Physicians of North Mississippi are committed to removing barriers to care. They have new locations in New Albany and Starkville, in addition to Tupelo, Corinth, and more. Get more details at entnorthmississippi.com or call 662-844-6513.
Podcast is brought to you by Horn Legend, hornlegend.com, the place to go for all your premium outerwear needs, long sleeve sports shirts. Got tons of collegiate collections, polo time before you know it, still quarter zip season for a little bit, and then great jackets and vests for men and women, Ole Miss and otherwise. There with Horn Legend. Remember to click MPW Digital in the drop down. We would appreciate that. So again, that's hornlegend.com. Joey asking what Pete Boone was like back in those days. He spent most of 2011 being pretty pissed. Had the unacceptable quote against Vanderbilt, or after the Vanderbilt game when Ole Miss they were down 30-0, and I think Dante called a late touchdown to make it 30-7, if I have that right. And Pete was willing to talk after that game, and then that led through to Houston officially getting removed after the Kentucky loss, I believe, if I have that right.
Yeah, they announced it after the Kentucky game.
Yeah.
I believe they'd already hired Hugh Freeze weeks earlier. I think the weekend of the Arkansas game.
Oh.
That was a weird year.
I told you that. That is the weirdest year. Weirdest. Even this past year can't match that with what everything.
I don't know about that. Probably. Ole Miss has better leadership now than it did then. And so that probably prevented this year from being.
Because it was just swimming every day back then. Yeah.
But that last weekend, Egg Bowl week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, was this close to being an absolute carnival. I mean, it's my opinion. Lane was pulling a power play and damn near scored the goal.
He's trying hard.
He didn't, and so therefore he didn't. But I do think he got a little closer than a lot of people believe. And I will say this. I will always wonder, what if Auburn had beaten Alabama that night?
Oh, it was a gift from above that Ole Miss was not headed to Atlanta that next week. In so many ways of trying to figure out what in the hell to do.
Yeah.
Because
that's what I'm saying.
My gut is he coaches the next week.
Oh, I'd bet good money on it. And then what?
I mean, then I think the same thing happens. But, yeah, I don't think it would changes the dynamics of the total game. But I think you'd have had one weird freaking week.
I think you're right. But I'm not as sure on that as you probably are. And that's not a criticism of you or me.
No, I get it. But, dude, that 2011, I just pulled it up. We're going to move on in a second. We're playing story time a little bit on a Wednesday. You had that wasn't no 49-10 Neal game, 29-24 on October 22nd. And from that point, these were the scores of these games. 41-23 at Auburn, 30-13 at Kentucky, Louisiana Tech 27-7, and the Bear puts the box on his head. Louisiana Tech running back runs for like 3 bills or something that day. Just a mauling.
Yep.
You were in Starkville covering Kirby Smart, and then the number 1 LSU game 52-3 before a 31-3 loss at Mississippi State. Houston wearing the flat bill in his last appearance, where he spent the entire week with boxes packed all throughout the Manning Center as he was out the door after the game.
You know, the only thing I remember from that game, the only
game?
thing is the pounding on the table and looking and going, are you serious?
It was the first touchdown for State. I'm probably getting this name wrong. I think it was Ladarius Perkins for State, and he runs around the left side, runs around Cody Pruitt or somebody, and he scores, and there's just this banging frustration in the press box. You go, have you watched this team in several weeks? 'Cause that was a pretty good State team too, I think, if I have that right.
Yeah,
and I was like,
I think they were decent. I mean, you were like, are you serious right now?
Actually, they ended up going. They were 2-6 in the league. I apologize, but they did win the Music City Bowl.
They were better than Ole Miss. I mean, markedly better.
Yeah, Ole Miss would have played Georgia in the SEC championship game had that happened.
Yes,
You'd have been playing for a bye.
The game was tied. The Alabama-Auburn game was tied in the fourth quarter.
Auburn had the ball to go score.
Because I just remember
they threw was it a pick?
I don't remember, man. I'll be honest. That was the first night. That was the first night that I was like, I'm done. I cannot. I remember telling my wife sitting there that night, because she never watches college football, but she's from Alabama, and she turned on the Alabama-Auburn game. And I didn't want to watch it. I didn't want to be anywhere near it. I was done. And I just said, I can't do another week of this. I just can't do it. Just can't do it. And I meant I didn't know what I was going to. I was. That was as close as I was to just. I can't play this game for another week. Where everyone was like, "Do you think there's any chance he stays?" And it's like, no. I mean, common sense was like beyond even sourcing.
Well, you had.
I mean, if you were even thinking of staying, you don't say the things he said. And so no, hell no, he's gone. And yet it permeated, and he really wanted to coach. And had they coached in the SEC championship game, you were going to have to go to Atlanta and go through that song and dance. And it was just, I was mentally fatigued at that point.
Well, that's the night.
I know people push back on, they don't like it when you say you're tired. So I'll use a different word. I was mentally fatigued with that story at that point.
Well, and it just wouldn't end that night, because I remember you said, "Hey, do you want to go live?" And I said, "I'm too tired. I literally can't find the words right now to do it. No, I don't." And the game ends. It's the night that Lane and Keith were meeting at Boyce's house, and I remember texting people, I don't know, 11:30, midnight, 12:15, going, "I don't even really care about a final answer. Can I go to bed? Can I go to sleep, or is there any possibility of something tonight? Or can I go to bed?"
Yeah.
And it seemed like nobody knew. And then obviously the next day became what it was. But that night was that night was tough.
That next day, the full story on that will one day officially come out, I suppose.
It will.
But I had to go get my truck from the Memphis airport. I'd been blocked in on Thanksgiving Day after I got back from California. And I was pretty sure we had an open 3-hour window for me to go get my truck, and turns out we did not have an open 3-hour window.
Yeah, that's correct. Let's see. Moving on a little bit. Thank you, a very public thank you to Will Furness for last night. Ole Miss knocking off Southeast Missouri State 13-3 last night in Oxford. It closes a 9-game homestand, as I said at the beginning of the show. 9-0 now for the Rebels, first time since 2022. Weekend series sweeps in Nevada and Missouri State, and midweek wins against Arkansas State, Jackson State, and then last night, SEMO team, it usually is pretty good, but I think they're 3-6 now, after that loss. Will Furness hitting a walk-off run rule 3-run homer in the 7 innings. I got playfully chastised by our boy Tyler Siskey this morning for calling it a walk-off if it's in a run rule in the 7th inning. But, hey, you know what? It ended the freaking game, so it's a walk-off because it got me out of there in that moment, and we were – the media and the players and everybody were all completely on the same page. We were proud of Will Furness and ready to pack the stuff up. Will said that when he was in the on-deck circle, Cade Townsend, Ole Miss' Saturday starter, kept looking at him going, please hit it out. Hit a home run. Please hit a home run. And
in fairness to Tyler, he's right. When you write walk-off, you think of a more dramatic setting. And in fairness to you, Tyler's
technically correct.
Tyler's never been in our shoes to fully understand that emotion. And the thought of them playing another inning or two was very depressing. You just wanted to get done and go home. And that accomplished that goal.
First home run for the year for Furness, and he's been good this year though. His first home run, but he's hit for a good average. He's walked a lot. I think he's walked like 12 times or something already this year through the 9 games. He's played pretty well defensively, so he got his first one. Yeah, there was no look. Cheering might not be the right word, but just to get out of there, I think when it came off the bat, because it ended up being a no-doubter, but it was a line drive that did not get very high off the ground. And off the bat, I'm pretty sure to myself, I kind of mumbled get up ball because I was concerned that it was going to hit the center field wall on its way out of the park. But it did go just right of that. And
12-3 going to the 8th. It just means then they score 2 runs in the 8th, make it 12-5, and now you're here for another effing hour. Is what it is.
I'm happy about the 10-run rule that is in effect now.
Always.
We hadn't really talked about this, and we're not at league play yet. But, no 7-inning doubleheaders anymore. Everything's 9 in league play.
In league play, I think that's the way it should be.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
I don't really think as important as league games are, and listen, you might disagree with this completely. I don't know. I believe this firmly.
What's up?
I believe league games matter 10, 15, 30, 80 times more than non-league games. And so therefore you should play them in a uniform fashion. I think the non-league games are such that you can do whatever.
I think,
for example, for LSU lost last night, that loss is not going to hurt them.
No one loss wins. It's the collective of a certain record you need.
Yeah. But
that's
like if LSU goes 19-11 in the SEC, no amount of non-league losses are really going to matter. Just my opinion. I think because of your net and everything else, I just think.
But my one pushback is I do think you need at least 18 for them not to matter. If you're trying to host at 16-14, you might not want to be 18-8 in the non-league.
Right.
Because then you're 32 and whatever. Or maybe I'm doing the math wrong. 34 and whatever. But
the truth is, program issues, they're not going to lose 8 non-league games, and so they're going to lose 4 or 5. And when those losses come, everyone's going to go, "Oh, look!" It's just one of the losses. It's fine. I'm not saying as a fan you shouldn't be like, "Ha ha, celebrate it." Cool, I get it. I just think the 30 league games get weighed so heavily.
There was a little carnage around the league last night. It's a good reminder that you do lose midweek games, that things just happen, that midweek sometimes the other team throws aces to get RPI wins. Arkansas State goes into Fayetteville, beats Arkansas for the first time ever, 12-4 last night, out hitting the Razorbacks 14-8. 6-2, by the way, for Arkansas State. I don't know anything about their roster construction, but they look so much better. They look like a very well-coached team right now. They're doing a hell of a job in Jonesboro with not a lot of resources. That's not an upper-tier Sun Belt team from a resource standpoint, and they're good. I like them.
Only thing I know about their team is that I know the family of their starting shortstop very well, and they're incredible people, really, really nice people, and I suspect that that he is incredibly high character person, and so in a world where they have a lot of kids like him, they're probably going to end up being a pretty good team.
Mm-hmm. State won easily. Vanderbilt won easily. State plays UCLA in a game this weekend, by the way. So number 1 Bruins against the number 4 Bulldogs. Southern Miss has been white hot since losing the opener to UC Santa Barbara, who's also a really good team. That was credit to both those teams for playing a 3-game set to open the year and get some RPI value there. Last night, Southern Miss run rules Alabama 14-4. Southern Miss now 7-1 after that opening loss, so they've won 7 in a row. LSU, as you mentioned, loses to 3-5 McNeese, 2-5 coming in, 7-6 last night for the Cowboys. Mike Bianco's previous stop before Ole Miss, coached there for 3 years, won exactly 100 games and made the NCAA tournament. LSU out-hit them 8-7, but McNeese gets the win. Texas wins 14-0. They're still undefeated, I believe, at 8-0. A&M beats Lamar 25-5. Missouri beats Pine Bluff 15-1. And Arizona State wins at Oklahoma last night 15-3. Sooners ranked 13th. It was their first loss, but 15-3 last night to the Sun Devils. Brent saying that Tennessee plays UCLA Friday, so UCLA getting State and Tennessee this weekend. I think Arlington. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's where that is. I have not seen an update on Cameron Fluke, by the way, the ace for Coastal Carolina. He was scratched last week in his start because of a strained rib muscle, and if he is out, easy math says you're probably going to get a 4th starter for Coastal Carolina on Sunday when they face the Rebels at 10:05 a.m. They're from Daikon Park in Houston. So we'll keep looking out for that. I'll try to find a Fluky update whenever it does come. Also, one of their top relievers out for the year with Tommy John. So just a little Coastal Carolina situation there. Again, Ole Miss plays Baylor at 3 o'clock. They play Ohio State at 11 o'clock, and they play Coastal Carolina just after 10 on Sunday. That's the schedule for Ole Miss. Ohio State only won 13 games a year ago, but they did beat Memphis twice in the Grind City Classic over the weekend last week, including striking out 21 Tigers in one of the games. That might be more of a sign of Memphis than Ohio State, though, as we move forward.
Probably.
Just saying. Well, I got a big kick out of it because, I don't blame the players. They have no idea who some of these teams are or whatever. But Will Furness was asked about the weekend or whatever, and he's like, oh, yeah, it's like an SEC weekend. Baylor, really good team. Ohio State, great team. And then, Coastal Carolina plays beside them. I'm like, Will, they won 13 games last year. No, Ohio State is not a great team. Ross is not dumping $3 million of NIL into the baseball program there in Columbus. I do not believe. Don't think that's on the menu.
Probably a safe assumption.
Some different priorities there for the Buckeyes than college baseball. Let's see. Tonight, Ole Miss is leaving, by the way. They're leaving today, which I don't know. Just give them an extra day in Houston. I don't know what the reasonings are, but they're practicing in midday and then heading out later today.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Extra. No.
It's a week with a lot of 2-game sets this weekend. Arkansas and Arkansas State play again today at 4 o'clock. Arizona State and Oklahoma play again today at 5. Kentucky and Western Kentucky, Troy and Georgia. Florida and FIU are a 2-game set. Auburn hosting West Georgia today.
Ooh, yeah, good game.
And then South Carolina, who might really suck, is playing Queens out of North Carolina today. This Paul Maneri experience has not gone very well in Columbia. He looks like he has no energy or juice left at all. It looks bad in Columbia.
That feels like a place that should be better.
Cautionary tale, I guess, because they still have a top 5 attendance most years. They got a beautiful park. They have 2 national titles and a runner-up in the last, 15, 16 years. They did it 3 years in a row. But other than the occasional solid year, super regional year, they have not found any magic whatsoever in the post-Ray Tanner era. Just now they're on their third or fourth coach since him.
Did you see the 2 home runs that Connor Griffin hit yesterday against Boston?
He is a stud.
My God.
He is a stud.
I know it's Bradenton, and I know it's spring, and I know it doesn't count, but my God.
Is he in the running for their starting shortstop job?
I mean, if he's not, it's just because they're protecting some years. He's got to be, right?
Does the rule still exist? Kind of like what the Cubs did with Chris Bryant, where you keep him down so many games just to avoid the extra year?
I mean, you have to keep him down a lot longer than that.
Okay. Philip Anthony says, outside the Ray Tanner years, South Carolina has been an average team. Yeah, I mean, look, it may have been one great coach.
Sure.
And, I mean, he had one hell of a run for 10, 15 years.
Big time.
It's probably a little weird for that program, too, when he's the AD. You got this presence looming in some ways.
Of course. Be like Steve Spurrier being your AD. Be tough. Be some pressure. Sure, absolutely. Be like, seriously. I mean, Tanner did a phenomenal job at South Carolina. When the record's impeccable.
The one thing I take from last night as we move on is Owen Kelly's performance. I wrote about that. I thought that was the main thing of the game, even though Ole Miss won 13-3. The St. Louis transfer, he had allowed 6 runs on the year coming into last night, but all of them were unearned. Just tons of errors around him. Nobody throwing the ball, catching the ball. He had an error himself prior to last night. And then last night, he gets out of a huge jam, gets a double play as soon as he comes into the game when it was still a game. It was 3-2 at that point, Ole Miss. Throws 2 more scoreless innings, looked the part, really filled up the strike zone. I thought it was a great outing from him last night. And then Marco Cipolla, the San Diego State transfer, he's had the flu, has lost a lot of weight, has had a hard time kind of getting strength back to come back. He pitched a little bit last night. It was not the sharpest in the world, but it was probably good just to get his feet wet, get him in there as they move forward. I do think he's going to be a valuable piece, but he was struggling for the last week, 10 days with flu-like symptoms and just simply being at the park. I know Ole Miss sent him home and kept him out of the locker room for several of those days. So he's back. He'll travel to Houston, and we'll see where it ends up after that. Transition to basketball in 1 second. I'll tell you about the Firm. Does your home and auto insurance keep going up? They're proud Liberty Mutual and Safeco Insurance agency partners. Founded by Ole Miss alum Brian Hayden, they service the entire Southeastern Conference with their team of licensed professionals. Review your insurance needs and put together coverages to protect you and your family without breaking the bank. Schedule a consultation at 662-236-1101 or email staff@thefirmsouth.com.
Arnett's Fine Jewelry is a 4th-generation jeweler located in the old Lamons building on North Lamar Avenue in Oxford. It's kind of gift time coming up with a lot of anniversaries. You got graduation right around the corner, birthdays, of course. It's a perfect place for all your gifting needs, especially if you're looking for anything jewelry related at Arnett's. They want to be your jeweler. We're brought to you by the College Corner. Baseball season in full swing now. Still pretty chilly out at the ballpark. You want to make sure you got your hoodies, your quarter zips, your hats. And then the warm weather's right around the corner. Polos, T-shirts, all of those things. They got all of that at the College Corner in the colors you're looking for, the brands you know and love. Nike, Horn Legend, Champion, Antigua, just to name a few. They've got a location in Oxford, just off of Sisk at the Oxford Commons, and then locations in Ridgeland and Flowood as well. And as always, you can go to collegecornerstore.com. Speaking of things you can count on, you can always count on Coors Banquet since its inception in 1873. It's the one thing probably could even get both sides of the aisle to stand up and cheer Coors Banquet. Might be the only thing that you could get both sides of the aisle to stand up and cheer would be a Coors Banquet, because since 1873, it's been brewed in the same tradition of the original 150-year-old recipe. It's been crafted with 100% Rocky Mountain water. I mean, who doesn't love Rocky Mountain water? So when you're enjoying a banquet, you are drinking history. And we're brought to you by Argent Wealth. You can call Argent Wealth's 401k advisory services team today. They'll conduct a complimentary, no obligation benchmarking and analysis of your current 401k plan. Mention that you heard about Argent Wealth on MPW Digital. On BlueSky Live, you'll get 10% off your first year's fees.
Podcast also brought to you by Chicory Market, chicorymarket.com. They got a special beer dinner coming up with their friends at Circle and Square Brewing. Chef Heath Johnson has created a fun and delicious menu to be served family style at the brewery alongside beer pairings for each course. Seats are limited to 25 people, so get your reservation in now. It's Sunday, March 1st, 6 to 8 o'clock, right there at Circle and Square. You can find out more going to chicorymarket.com/events. Also, podcast brought to you by New Albany Pharmacy and Solutions, 140 Fairfield Drive in New Albany, 662-539-7777. Family-owned pharmacy, excellent service, wide range of gifts for all ages, home decor, and more. Tell them you heard about them, MPW Digital, and get 15% off any non-medical purchase. Again, 662-539-7777. Last night, from a college basketball standpoint, you had 3 games and a big win for the Missouri Tigers, 73-69. Dennis Gates getting one against Rick Barnes and Tennessee. Tennessee now 20-8, 10-5. Missouri 19-9, 9-6. Have to feel pretty good about their NCAA situation after last night getting that one. They got 28 points from T.O. Barrett in that win for Missouri. Kentucky, it was not pretty at all, but they did pick up the victory over South Carolina, 72-63 in Columbia, a must-win for Mark Pope. He gets that, 18-10, 9-6 now for the Wildcats. South Carolina, 3-12 in the SEC, 12-16 overall. And then in Norman, Oklahoma controls the Auburn Tigers to pick up their 4th SEC win now, 4-11 for Oklahoma, 91-79 Oklahoma over Auburn. In that one, they were up 9 at the break and also outscored them in the second half. Auburn did get 26 from Overton, but, oh boy, tough loss last night for Stephen Pearl and the Tigers.
At least they got that win over West Georgia in baseball.
That'll calm it down.
Listen, that's a bad loss. I mean, there's 2 extremes here. That for Missouri, that is a great win. God almighty. I mean, that is a, we might be okay now win. Probably are okay now. Probably in the tournament now. For Auburn, I mean, Oklahoma's metrics aren't awful, so it won't just kill you, but that's a bad loss.
Awful loss.
That's a bad. I'll tell you this, for Ole Miss Saturday, Ole Miss can put a dagger in Auburn.
Oh yeah.
Can take a rusty shank and stick it straight in their heart. You have that. I mean, like, hey, what's on the line here? And frankly, if I'm Chris Beard and Ole Miss, I steer into this. I don't think they will because I just don't think that's how they operate. But it's kind of like that scene in For Love of the Game where you just say, hey, wreck it. Wreck it.
Them.
Finish them. I mean, like Ole Miss can win 4 games in a row, and it's not going to change their NCAA tournament resume. But boy, you can wreak some havoc in Auburn, Alabama Saturday night.
You can.
Ole Miss's Ken Palm is like 80-ish right now. You take that and Auburn lose a home game to 80.
Night.
So, I don't know, I mean, they got lucky the other night. I mean, I think most of us kind of enjoy it because most people kind of cheer against Kentucky a little bit for some reason. That was a bad call. It was a call that call doesn't get made much in a course of a season. That call doesn't happen. Kentucky wins the game. Auburn's done. Might be done anyway. To the point where you wonder, like, if you're Auburn, you've put a lot into building this program to get to this place. And you start wondering how much of this was just Bruce Pearl. And Stephen Pearl might not be Bruce Pearl. And that's not fair to say 1 year in, but in today's college landscape, I just don't know who all gets much time. And basketball matters there.
Yeah, Bruce made it matter.
It matters there. And Alabama's pretty consistent. Oates has taken them to the Final Four. I mean, Auburn was just in the Final Four last year, but Oates has made it where there's pressure to win in basketball. And I'm just telling you, Saturday night, that'll be clinched pretty tight.
In the meantime, tonight, Florida is at Texas. 8-6 Longhorns, 12-2 Gators. Florida favored by 6.5 in that one at Moody Center. Georgia and Vanderbilt. Georgia a 9.5 point underdog at Vanderbilt tonight. 6 o'clock SEC Network. 19-8, 7-7 for Georgia. 21-6, 8-6 for Vanderbilt. Mississippi State is at Alabama. Previously mentioned. Bama 10-4 in the SEC. 20-7 overall. They're favored by 14.5 at home.
A big number.
Yeah, it is a big number. Texas A&M is a 7.5 point underdog in Fayetteville tonight. That game is at 8 o'clock, ESPN2.
That's a big number, too.
A&M 9-5, Arkansas 10-4, 20-19 wins, respectively, and then LSU at Ole Miss. What do you think the line is tonight?
Ole Miss minus 6.5.
Ole Miss minus 1.5.
Oof.
Total 148.5.
I was surprised yesterday, and I'm genuinely was. It was I posted the advance notes. I'm not a big advance person. I never have really liked them. Like, hey, this game, especially when the game has
thing,
especially when the game has no. Like, if you were to do an honest assessment of what's at stake for Ole Miss, for LSU, I mean, nothing. I mean, if we're being honestly, and someone in the thing said this is a huge game for from a fan perspective because of just any. I can't remember exactly what he said, but I was like, really? Wow. And I asked for more feedback, and I don't think anybody really agreed with him because I said, to me, this feels quite inconsequential regardless.
The only way I kind of see that is just simply sometimes you just need to break a freaking string. Like, can we just get off this streak where it's becoming a thing? Or it is a thing. It's not becoming.
Yeah.
Like, just win a game.
You don't want to keep counting.
And if I'm going to go to the Pavilion, win one, and like, it doesn't have to be tournament. Like, we're not going to the tournament, but give me a nice 2 hours.
Sure.
Let me go and get a win and sing the fight song.
Sure.
Put a little baseball mentality on it where we're just going to the park, try to win a game.
Yeah.
It's all good.
I totally get that. Yeah. I was genuinely kind of like, wow, I didn't think about it. One person came back with, hey, look, it's LSU. I want to beat them in anything. And I was like, okay, I get it. I mean, I get it. Yeah. I thought it was an interesting conversation because I was looking at it kind of clinically, which I think is what you have to do. You do that with baseball. You have to sometimes. Just
doing a quick little scan of Saturday's games real quick to see if anything sticks out. Vanderbilt to Kentucky is interesting on Saturday, 1 o'clock ESPN.
Kentucky would be advised to win.
It would. Texas is at A&M on Saturday, 3 o'clock ESPN2.
A solid game. Mm-hmm.
Alabama is in Knoxville Saturday.
That's a good game.
10-4 against 10-5.
Mm-hmm.
And the Arkansas Razorbacks are in Gainesville on Saturday.
I'm interested in that game because you get to watch Darius Acuff Jr. against Boogie Fland.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
it's true.
And Arkansas's got just enough bodies that maybe you can neutralize that big advantage that Florida typically has and turn it into a. If you're Arkansas, the question is, can you turn it into a track meet? If you can, you have a shot.
Feels like Florida is 100% the best team in the league.
Yeah. I mean, I probably would. we were having a conversation, me and somebody else yesterday, with who's truly the second best team in the league. And the other person was saying Arkansas. And I said, if you promised me that Carter Knox got back healthy, I might sign on with that. But without him, I don't know that I'd go there. And then I was like, well, who is it? Is it Alabama? Is it Tennessee? All of those teams have been, including Arkansas in that group, have all been just inconsistent enough that you can't believe in them.
Completely different topic for a second before I go to our final break, and I want to talk about Kentucky and Mark Pope for a minute after that. You can read from The Athletic today. I love weird sports hobbies, like just people that are kind of insane about one specific thing. And this morning, The Athletic ran a story on this. Back in 2021, Zach Meisel wrote a great story about Randy Kula, a Cleveland area man with an extremely niche sports hobby, finding a photo of every single player who had ever played in a game for the Guardians Indians franchise all the way back to 1901. What started as a fun hobby became an obsession, particularly as Kula added more photos to his mental till. A total of 1,917 players have appeared for the Cleveland franchise, and 21 years ago, so he hadn't found a new one in 21 years, found number 1916. He was missing just one, Charles William Shorty Gallagher. This January, his 2-decade quest for the one picture of the one player on August 13th, 1901 ended with a Facebook message. He's got a follow-up yesterday on that story as he has found now every single player, a photo of that person that has played in a Cleveland uniform in professional baseball.
It was a fascinating story. It was
crazy story.
It was great. It was such an entertaining read.
Yeah. And that actually plays into what I want to talk about. So we'll do that in 1 second. First, I'm going to tell you about Jackson Graber Group, GMFSmortgage.com, local trusted mortgage lender right here in Oxford. Help all home buyers with first home, new construction, refinances, graduated from Oxford High, Ole Miss alum, local in-house processing, underwriting, servicing, and more. Wide range of loan options, including conventional, FHA, VA, and plenty others, licensed in multiple states. So if you're buying a home, refinancing, dealing with all that condo stuff, he's an expert there. He can help you out. That's gmfsmortgage.com/JGG, 662-762-4502.
We're brought to you by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. John is part of Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners that allows him to supply his clients with added values, unique benefits simply not available to other travelers. Get in touch with John. Give him some parameters. Give him a budget. That's important. And then let him give you options that you probably will not find on your own. 901-494-3387 or jedwards@regencytravel.net. Get the beautiful, healthy smile you deserve at Corinth Dental. Dr. Bubba McQueen, Dr. Jenny Beth Hendrick are devoted to restoring and enhancing the natural beauty of your smile, using conservative, state-of-the-art procedures that will result in a beautiful, long-lasting smile. From routine checkups to advanced treatment, including implants and Invisalign, Corinth Dental is here to help you achieve your smile goals. Schedule your appointment today. Take the first step toward a better version of yourself at corinthdental.com.
Podcast also brought to you by G&M Pharmacy, 662-236-2222. They deliver locally in the Oxford area and offer medicine for your prescription same time each month and take care of you. One trip at the pharmacy, one delivery, everything you need when you need it with G&M. So again, that's 662-236-2222. One more story from The Athletic that was pretty interesting today is inside Utah's sports rush and all the things that Salt Lake City is doing to kind of become a top tier sports entity, if you will, between their ownership group that owns, I think, the Jazz and the Mammoth. Some other ways they have helped youth sports complexes, UFC, X Games, NBA All-Star Games. You got BYU and Utah at least spending tons more money all of a sudden, and then some rumblings about maybe an MLB expansion franchise prior to 2034, which is when Salt Lake City hosts the Winter Olympics. It's in France in 2030, and then 2034 there for Utah. So pretty good pretty good story on that. If you want to read through it, I thought that was another one that was pretty sharp. Neil, I was saying that there's the other story in the Athletic was pretty good. Was the rise of Salt Lake City trying to become an upper tier sports mecca. It was really good.
Trying to get a Major League Baseball team. Yeah, I read that story. It was really well done.
And leading up to the Olympics in 2034 because they're in Salt Lake.
Yeah, and they get the NHL Winter Classic or something. I think they're getting that next year.
Oh, really? Okay.
Pretty sure. Yeah, they've. I've never been there. I've flown in and out of there and seen it. It's actually a city that's on my very short list of places that I'd like to go hang out for a weekend.
It's more observation than anything else, but we talk about how important this week is for Mark Pope, and I find him, because of what you said the other day, of a lot of his contemporaries, frankly, don't like him, find him very arrogant. He's the guy that bloodied his hand when he was in Oxford last year for punching furniture or a table or something and had to hide it during the press conference, and then KSR reported that he had slashed it open or whatever, and that was why his hand was below the table the entire time when he was doing his PC here, either before or after Beard, I don't remember. And at the same time, I've made the joke that from an outside perspective, he almost seems too nice. Like, I want my Kentucky coach to be a bit of a villain. I find that more intriguing. Like, in some ways, Calipari's more looks like a mafia member, and it's like, yeah, that's more of where I'm going with the Kentucky thing as they do this. And Pope sometimes seems like he's the guy to hand out orange slices. So the dichotomy of what this looks like is fascinating. And then I got kind of stopped in my tracks. He was at a press conference end of last week, and one of the sports journalism classes at Kentucky had come into his press conference, was showing him what a press conference is like or whatever it was. And I guess the professor that asked the question? I believe the professor asked the question, not a student. But had asked essentially, what advice do you give to sports media members in 2026? And as the question was asked, I sort of zoned out because coaches typically give really bad answers there. It's something that I don't care about or whatever. And Pope gave a remarkably good answer, which is you're going to be pushed like hell just to simply get clicks and analytics and to become a character in so many ways. But that there are two ways to do it. You can do it that way, or you can get them by being really freaking good. And I thought, I don't know if they hear that enough, because you're so entrenched on, hey, the field is this, and the field is this, and this is what you're going to have to do, and this is, by God, this is dictating everything. And yet, I think you just mentioned it, The Athletic. I mean, two stories was mentioned that were incredibly well reported. It was not clickbait in any way. And the recognition of Pope recognizing that from his job with everything going on kind of in the middle, for him to step aside from the tunnel vision that most coaches have constantly to even give an answer to any of this. Because you would have envisioned Nick Saban going, I didn't even know there are media. You know what I mean? Some dumb shit like that. And instead, he does have the ability to separate and be human in ways that I think a lot of coaches don't. Basketball coaches do it better than football coaches, as a rule. But, by far.
Not even close.
And a lot of reasons for that. But Pope is one of the best. And I'll tell you, I know he's doing it for us on a national level, but I find Pope so interesting that I'm really glad Kyle Tucker is back in the game, because I do think he's going to do a lot of stuff about Kentucky and Pope that I'm going to find sort of remarkable to read over the course of the next year or so as this thing plays out. Pope is sort of fascinating, and I sent that media thing to a bunch of people. I said, hey, y'all need to make sure your kids hear this, because it's not one way to skin a cat, even though we kind of get told that every second of every day.
I was not aware of that answer. That's a incredibly astute answer.
And it was a long answer. I mean, if you hadn't listened to it, it's a much longer than that. That wasn't verbatim by any means. But yes, it was a long, thoughtful answer regarding what is likely required to them and how to avoid that and keep your professionalism and to actually inform your clientele as it goes forward. He had a very good answer.
Yeah, because so much, and you might disagree with this, you and I never really talk about this, so much of modern journalism, in sports journalism and maybe in general, is, hey, volume of content, find something that will get clicks, push it out, make it edgy.
Clickbait the headline.
Oh, yeah. Clickbait the fire out of the headline. Don't worry about ramifications. Don't really worry about accuracy. Don't worry about fairness. Don't worry about getting two sides. Don't worry about getting...
Don't worry about talking to anybody directly.
Yeah. Just an aggregate. Drives me insane. I mean, I look back at the beginning of just my career. And I'm not making this about me. I'm just talking about I've been in the field for a long time and had a pretty unique path. Had I had the pressure early in my career to get clicks and to aggregate, I would have I don't think I'd be in it. I think I would have totally failed. He's right. And yet, like, I think The Athletic does phenomenal work. I love it. It's one of my go-tos every single morning. Maybe one of my two go-tos. And everything you hear is that there's trouble financially, and that they're probably not going to beat right the same way anymore in some of the big sports like MLB and NBA, where if you're going to if you're going to cover the Chicago Cubs or the Atlanta Braves, if you don't go on the road with those teams, you can't cover those teams.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're covering the Detroit Pistons, I mentioned them because they have a writer who I think is fantastic. And you don't travel with the Pistons, you're not at the second night of a back-to-back on the road. You're not on that West Coast swing when a team is away from their homes for 10 days. I don't know that you can truly tell the story of a team. And yet, that's where it all feels like it's going, which I think is people say, well, who loses in that? The
consumer.
Consumer, the fans.
Because you're getting bloggers, not reporters, and there's a difference.
And boy, we can touch on this another time. We're probably running out of time, but it's one of the reasons that I hate kind of where our field is going, which is you cover a team as long as the team wins. Once they lose, nobody wants to read about it. Man, I hate that. I think that's a dangerous precedent. I really do. But, I mean, I understand it. I just don't think it's good.
And I think it's the difference between a reporter and a blogger. A reporter goes, okay, how do I humanize? How do I find the next thing? How do I figure out what is ticking with them? Whereas the blogger goes, it's clicks. All right, baseball. Done. Let's now put a transcription of everything the baseball coach says. Let's do that instead.
Oh, there's a couple of basketball stories that I sort of want to still write in the next 2.5, 3 weeks. And if I'm honest, if I write them, I'll write them for me. And I will have to block out the analytics because I know that the majority of – and this – I always hate doing this because I think people think I'm criticizing. I am not. You know me well enough to know I'm not criticizing at all. I just don't think people would read it. I don't think they'd read them. I don't.
I think that it's hard. Like it's hard to humanize at the end of a transfer player who's been here 1 year. If you don't do it at the very beginning, it's hard to then go, hey, this is why this matters and who this person is as it's ending.
This is what this was like for him. Yeah.
So because we didn't know it in real time at all.
Yeah. Well, and
I mean, because that's what I was saying. Wicked Brew just said it. He goes, the fan demand is becoming cover while they win because we don't have a personal connection with the players. Coaches don't get out there and build relationships either.
Well, and you're right. You know who does terrible with this is college media relations departments. Awful and getting worse. You cut off the players. You're terrified of media. And then you wonder why the fans don't know them.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen at the pro level. And you're preparing these guys to be pros? And when I do this, people go, oh, you're bitching about access. I am absolutely not bitching about access.
No, something can be a consequence without griping about it. It's whatever.
Yeah, I'm not griping at all. I mean, I told Chase this yesterday. It's the truth. We get legitimate questions about, hey, guys, when is spring football? And the honest answer is, I don't know. And the next question is, will you guys have different level of access under Golding than you had under Kiffin? And my answer is, I don't know. And personally, like, I don't care. Whatever. I can cover it both ways. I've done both where I've had full access, and I've done it where we had basically no access. So professionally, I can handle it either way you throw it at me. But if I were a fan, I'd get it. If you follow a professional team today, you know that team so much better than your friend who follows a college team. It's not close. Yeah. With the exception of the sport you cover.
Yeah.
And that might just be because of the guy who runs that program. Yeah. I don't like if Mike Bianco were to leave and they brought in a new young coach, it might get way cut off. Who knows? I don't know.
Mike gets it to a level that I'm not sure fans do from a media standpoint. I mean, we kind of had a laugh yesterday because last night I'd asked for Owen Kelly after the game, and he was doing arm care because Joel Mangrum, when he came in, has got them all in a more major league style of arm care situation after games. So because it ended in the 7th inning, he wasn't done yet. Had it gone 9, he would have been available and whatever, but he was not available at that moment. And Mike walked over and he goes, you asked for Kelly, didn't you? And he kind of made a joke, and he goes, yeah, Mangrum's fault. And we kind of talked through it. But the acknowledgement of him to even recognize what was going on is so rare compared to many college coaches who would never even pick up what is going on in that real moment. And he came over and in his way acknowledged it and sort of apologized and said, we'll get him for you. So,
yeah,
no, just a little thing there.
He gets it in ways that there's lessons to be learned, but there's for whatever reason at the college level, there's a fear
and an ownership.
It's the only word I can think of. Yeah. And
ownership.
They're competing against you because they don't. It's just it's really gone to a bad place from a media standpoint. I think it would be far more. I'm just talking about journalism here for a moment. I'm not talking about fandom or any of that stuff. From a journalism, it's probably much more enjoyable and fulfilling to cover a professional team right now.
Yeah, and at the college level, trying to figure out how to balance it and what to do and what to write and how to handle it. So, all right, 8 o'clock tonight, Ole Miss LSU, Ole Miss baseball back on Friday. Baylor, 3 o'clock there from Dyken Park in Houston. So appreciate all of you guys as always. Take care, and we'll talk to you again